Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Blu-Roy Movies. I hope we're all doing okay. Today, we've got something slightly different today. Ollie put this video out last week. His video, the films that sort of shaped him as a child, movie-wise, into what he is today. He put out his video, very good video, so go back and check that out and sort of put it forward to anybody who fancied having a go at it, have a go at it. And a couple of people have. I think Sam's had a go and Pedro's had a go. So I thought, why not? I'll chuck me hat in the ring. We'll have a go. Yeah, these are the films that shaped me as a child with my love of films. Now, don't get me wrong, I've always liked films, but things were a lot different in the day. I was born 69, so formative years in the 70s, and the ability to consume film was a lot different in those days. For a start, by the time I started getting into film, our cinema had long turned into a bingo hall, so that didn't help. And I don't think my dad passed his driving test till I was quite old as a child, so the option of going over to Coventry, which would have been the nearest cinema, wasn't really on the cards. And we only had 3 channels on the television. You had BBC 1 and 2 and ITV. Yeah, you didn't even have Channel 4 at one time. And I think my mother probably was the be-all and end-all of what appeared on the TV, what we could watch. I think Mum's say was probably final, and I think Dad, as long as he could watch his racing on a Saturday afternoon, I think he probably went along with what my mum said, to be honest. So, yeah, the choices of films to watch on TV were probably slim and limited for me, so it's probably every now and again we sat down as a family and watched a film, or I sat down with my dad and watched a film. But I do remember some great watches with Dad. Yeah, my dad's always been a film lover. He's always loved his westerns and action films and war films. So that's probably where I've got my love for those sort of genres from. So yeah, let's crack on with this. This is going to be the films that shaped me as a child and turned me into that movie lover that I am today. Let's get on with it. The first one of the first films that I really loved as a child was Kes, directed by Ken Loach, I think. And actually, this is from the year of my birth, 1969. Now, the school I went to, secondary school, Bilton School, which has been in the news recently, controversially, for not allowing a girl to wear a Union Jack dress at school. It's been all over the internet. But that's the school I went to. And in English, we read the book A Kestrel for a Knave. And not only did we read the book, they also pulled out the magical TV on wheels, you remember it, and we actually watched the film as well. I don't know how we'd have watched it, because it must have had a VHS attached to it, but no, that's puzzling me now how we managed to get it on this TV. But we did, yeah, we watched the film on the TV as well as read the book in English, and I just remember liking the book, but absolutely falling in love with the film. And I know Sam's a big fan. A magical look at northern life, the life of this young lad in northern England who has lots of troubles as a kid, but tames this kestrel, and yeah, it's a very difficult watching times, but a very good watch. Yeah, that's Kes. That is one that shaped me as a child. Next up, we'll go for The Wizard of Oz. Now, this was on every Christmas when I was growing up. I don't think it still is. I don't think they still show it every year. And what a marvellous adventure it is. It turns from a brown type print into glorious Technicolor, and you're transformed into the world of Oz with all these magical characters and a brilliant story. And even to this day, I could watch it over and over again and just fall in love with the world of Oz. This 4K is absolutely stunning. I'm sure we never saw it in quality like that when I was a kid on our 20 odd inch TV. Yeah, we certainly don't have the things we have today. Yeah, The Wizard of Oz, a film I've always loved and always will. Next up, and I think this is the first film I remember watching with my dad, Steven Spielberg Duel. It'd been, imagine, on a Saturday night when my mum's let us watch a film, and I remember watching this and being absolutely transfixed by it as this guy battles with this lorry, and all he's doing is trying to drive to work and get to a meeting, and he pisses off this guy in the lorry, and it's pretty much an hour and a half him trying not to be killed by this lorry. And I tried to recreate the magic with my son when I got this 4K. I said, come on, we need to sit down and watch this together. And we watched it, and I said, what do you think? And he says, oh, bloody boring, Dad. Maybe it hasn't aged too well, and I've just seen it now with rose-tinted glasses, but I still think it's a marvellous film. Yeah, Joel, Steven Spielberg's first film, I believe, and yeah, absolutely great. I love Joel. It'll never get old for me. And another one, a similar vein, and just remember sitting and watching this with my dad, probably on a Saturday night again, which seemed to be a movie night. Roller Coaster. What a great film this is. Again, love it to this day. All about this guy who's going around amusement parks and bombing roller coasters, and they're trying to stop him doing it, trying to track him down, and brilliant tension. It just ramps up and up and up. Of always sort of like Fairgrounds. Ever since I watched this, you'd have thought it would have put me off. I mean, what year was it? I must have been quite young when I see it. It's like late mid-70s. Yes, 77. So it must have come on the TV pretty soon after it was released, and we watched it. That was another thing with films back in the day. A lot of the big films, it would take years and years for them to come onto TV after they've been in cinemas. I think Jaws, it took 5 or 6 years for it to get on the TV, so I didn't get to see it till probably a teenager to a young adult, because when it did get on the TV, like I say, my man was probably watching Coronation Street or Juliet Bravo or something like that, and I weren't allowed to watch it. Yeah, but Roller Coaster, just another great film from childhood. My films are a lot different, I suppose, to most yours. There's no cartoons on the list. I've never really been into cartoons and stuff like that. I've always been into me live action films and fantasy films and yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, Roller Coaster, another really, really good one. Next up, we're going to go with this one, which again always seemed to be on TV at Christmas. BenHur, historical epic that is really, really long. So for it to grab my attention as a kid when I probably didn't have the largest attention span speaks volumes of this film. This BenHur, Charlton Heston, biblical epic with such huge set pieces. The chariot race itself is something to absolutely behold. I mean, what a set piece. And I think at the time, and it may even still do so, it had the world record for the most extras used in a film. And I think even though we knew back in the day when we didn't have access to internet and film facts, I think we were aware that a guy had died filming the chariot scene. So that probably enhanced it in our kid coolish minds that we were going to see this bloke die in real life. Yeah, kids are horrible, aren't they? We probably weren't any exception. Yeah, BenHur, magical film, and I haven't seen it for a long time. It's one that's really due a rewatch with me. Another one always used to be on the TV around Christmas, bank holidays, and I always used to watch it. The Dam Busters. Michael Redgrave played Barnes Wallis, the guy who invented these bombs that could bounce along water. So the RAF bomber command, they could blow up these dams. Just a brilliant feat of British engineering during the war, and just loved this film of how, with trial and error, they got the bombs right, because it wasn't plain sailing. It was a very difficult procedure to get these bombs. And then the raid itself, headed by Richard Todd, the actor, who was in charge of, is it 615? I can't remember the squadron name now. Six something squadron, that took out this daring raid that not all of them survived. What brave men they were. And I always thought this was universally watched, universally loved, and everybody had seen it, until I started doing my channel and talking about the Dam Busters, and the amount of people that said they hadn't seen it would really surprise me. I think it's problematic. It's not showing like it used to be, mainly because of one thing. I think Richard Todd's dog in it, which is historically accurate. He had a black dog that was, I don't want to get cancelled on YouTube, the dog was called the N-word. So there's a lot of Richard Todd in this film shouting for his dog. So yeah, you can imagine that doesn't go down well. I think last time I saw it on TV, at the advert break, they were giving you warnings that it contained words that were not acceptable in these days today. It's a wonder it hasn't been cancelled, to be honest. I must upgrade this version, actually. I think Studio Canal have got a version out, so I must look at upgrading this French edition. Yeah, Dam Busters, just a great film. Next one, The Incredible Shrinking Man. Now, my father, he used to be the member of a conservative club back when we were kids, and he'd go and have a few pints and a game of darts and that. And every now and again, he'd take us there. And actually, this burns an issue, burns an image in my mind. He wouldn't take us often, I suppose. Being the father of 4 kids, he'd go and have a pint and a game of darts to escape from the noise of us all, not like drag us down with him. But occasionally he'd take me, and I'd sit there in this magical world of men smoking and swearing, and have me bottle of pop with 2 straws and me bag of Walker's salt vinegar. And I remember on one occasion he took me, and he was playing dominoes, and this old boy was playing dominoes. He, instead of having a hand on one arm, he just had a stump at his wrist where his hand used to be, and he'd be shuffling his dominoes with this stump, and as like a 7 or 8 year old, whatever I was absolutely horrified, and it's burnt an image in my mind that stays with me to this day. This stump shuffling these dominoes is worse than any horror film memory I've ever had. But I digress. I'm getting away from the point. Every Christmas they'd hold a Christmas party for the kids of the members in their concert hall, and they'd wheel out the big screen and show a film for his kids. And one year it was indeed The Incredible Shrinking Man, and I remember sat there transfixed as this guy, from memory, his radioactive dust makes him start shrinking, and he gets smaller and smaller and smaller until he ends up trapped in his basement being attacked by cats, spiders and all sorts, and just utterly captivating for 10-year-old me or whatever I was. And yes, and again, a film that is probably elevated higher in my opinion now than it ever should be. But when I got this Arrow release and the transfer is beautiful, it just transferred me back to that day, and it's still a really, really good film in my opinion. Yeah, that's The Incredible Shrinking Man. Next up, another war film, another Christmas staple. See, I always like Christmas films. When people talk about Christmas films, these are my Christmas films. The Great Escape, The Wizard of Oz. I can't be doing with Alf and Home Alone and crap like that. I'd rather watch this sort of stuff. And the next one that's coming along in a minute, The Great Escape, just transforms me back to Christmases as a kid, waiting on Christmas Eve for the big day. There's a film on the telly and it's The Great Escape. And to pardon the pun, but it was just great escapism for me. Again, another long film that just says how good it is that could hold our attention for that long. Well, that's my memory anyway. Maybe we were in and out of it, but that's the way my memory goes. And yeah, great film with a huge, huge ensemble cast. I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago on the weekly watches, so I'm not going to rant on about and go on and on about it. Yeah, just a great film, The Great Escape. Yeah, and another one in a similar vein. It always was on at Christmas, and you don't see it as much these days. Jason and the Argonauts. What a brilliant historical adventure film. All the Colossus of adventure, and yeah, I agree with that. All the different set pieces. The big guy Achilles, isn't it, made of stone because they have to attack him on his heel. All the different monsters, and they're throwing the teeth on the floor and they're turning into skeletons and they're having to fight them. That absolutely terrified me as a kid. It looks really hokey now, but as a kid, they freaked me out. I had something about skeletons, I don't know what it was. Yeah, they probably caused me a few nightmares back in the day. Jason and the Argonauts, a brilliant childhood film of mine. Next up, in a box set, and you could pick umpteen films out of this carry-on. Always on a bank holiday. Always used to watch them when I got on the opportunity. How many is there? Does it say 30 of them? And I've seen them all countless times and know them pretty much off by heart. Some of my favourites as a kid are probably different to my favourites as an adult. I remember screaming as a kid. Camping as a kid would probably be my favourites. But now I'd say probably Khyber is Convenience, the toilet factory one, where they have a day out at Brighton. That's my favourite now. Yeah, just a great box set, and whether it transcends across to modern audiences, I don't know and I don't care, because I'll take them as they are and just I'll carry on watching them. Carry on watching you lot as well. Yeah, it's a great box set, that. And to round it off, another box set. James Bond. Obviously, when I was a kid, it had been the Connery and Roger Moore ones that were always on the TV. Connery is my favourite Bond, but it was more Roger Moore when I was a kid into the 70s. And at school every Christmas, again, they used to wheel us into the hall and put a film on the big screen. And I remember it being The Man with the Golden Gun. So that was always one of my favourites for ages, for that memory. Roger Moore, Christopher Lee as Scaramanga with 3 nipples. That bit always sticks out. The guy from Fantasy Island, what was his name in The Man with the Golden Gun? No, it's gone. It's on the tip of my tongue. No, it was there, but it's gone. So that was one of my favourites. Goldfinger will possibly be always my favourite Bond film. The action, the songs. I was probably a bit too young to appreciate the Bond girls when I first started watching them, but that's a big part of it as you grow up. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful stuff. The Bond, and I'm looking forward to checking out the new Bond films when they eventually arrive. So that's it, guys. Yeah, that is, in a nutshell, really a selection of the films that shaped my love of film, shaped my taste, and like I said, I probably have my dad as well for all his films he used to watch when we were around the house. So that's it. Yeah, let me know down below what you think of my selection. Like I said, going to be different from a lot of kids. There's no Disney or stuff like that, or Pixar for the modern day adults that went through that. I say went through, that makes me sound like it's a torture. That watched them as they were growing up. Thanks for watching, guys. Please comment down below. Love the comments. Subscribe if you want to see more of the channel. Give us a thumbs up and all that jazz, and I'll catch you all later. Ta-ra.